There and back again. A Goggins Tale, Part 5, Lothlorien. The passing of the mountain had been a challenging endeavor, but finally, the Fellowship had arrived at the borders of Lothlorien. Goggins' training of the company, especially the halflings and their new equipment, had enabled them to make the crossing in a single day. Already, the halflings appeared a good deal hardier than they had since they'd left Hobbiton. Gone was their excess body weight and overhanging belly fat. Even the once fat hobbit Sam now boasted a six-pack and newly developed pectoral muscles, complemented by shoulders that appeared carved from living rock. "Just wait till Rosie sees the new you," Sam teased Frodo, causing the others sat around them to laugh. They had stopped by the banks of the Silverlode for a short break to recover from their exertions on the mountain. "Rosie Cotton," said Sam, smiling to himself as he gazed down at the flowing river beside them. "Man, fuck these hoes," bellowed a disapproving Goggins unexpectedly. "His fat ass just got into shape. Why you want a bitch like Rosie to fuck things up again?" "Now wait just a minute there, Mr. Goggins, sir," responded Sam defiantly. Evidently, Goggins had crossed a line by insulting his dear Rosie. Goggins looked down at his calloused hands and sighed at the inevitable action he must take to reinstate discipline within his unit. "Evidently, your bitch ass ain't learned its lesson." This time, Sam attempted to fight back against the beating gifted to him by Goggins, twice his size and tenfold his match in strength. "Oh, your punk ass is getting strong now," laughed Goggins, almost admiring the fat hobbit's progress as he set about him for a third time since Hobbiton. "I'm still gonna slap the shit out of you," he taunted as he continued to deliver blows and gradually break down his defiance. Sam glanced over to the other hobbits for assistance, but they remained seated resolutely upon the ground, pretending not to notice Sam's plight. "They ain't want this smoke," roared Goggins. Eventually, Boromir rose to intervene but was stopped by a raised hand from Aragorn. "We must help the halfling," he urged. "He but hardens the halfling for the road ahead," explained Aragorn. "Can you not see? Already he has grown much under Lord Goggins' instruction." Beside him, Gandalf lowered his pipe and gave Boromir a stern look. "Do not interfere in the ways of the mire, for your simple mind comprehends them not." Such was the look in Gandalf's eyes. Boromir was compelled back to the rock upon which he had been sitting. "This is for your own good, motherfucker!" shouted Goggins, bringing Sam's beating to a close, leaving the hobbit a twitching mess upon the grass. "You motherfuckers," he said, pointing at Frodo, Merry, and Pippin. "Set up camp. We gonna chill here tonight. Get a fire going. I'ma go take a shit." Hurriedly, the hobbits scrambled up and got to work. "Is it wise to set a fire?" asked Boromir. "We are in the open, within sight of a known orc stronghold. We got enough firepower to take out a small country." "They ain't gonna do shit," replied Goggins, before heading off into the woods to expel the contents of his bowel. As night descended, the Fellowship huddled around the small fire, the flickering flames casting long shadows against the surrounding trees. The soothing sounds of the Silverlode and the distant chirping of nocturnal creatures provided a deceptive calm. Suddenly, Goggins' keen ears picked up a sound, a distant but unmistakable growl followed by the guttural murmurs of orc voices. "All right, you little motherfuckers," hissed Goggins to the hobbits. "You're up. It's time for you to get your first taste of blood. The rest of us ain't gonna interfere." Frodo, Sam, and Merry immediately sprang into action, their recent training kicking in. They moved swiftly and silently, taking up strategic vantage positions around the camp, ensuring they could cut off any escape routes when the fighting began. "Pippin, you're on support duty. Lob this stun grenade at the enemy. Then hit him with a flare, so the team can see what they're dealing with." Pippin nodded, eager to prove himself. He clutched the stun grenade tightly, waiting for Goggins' signal. The sounds grew louder, the orcs and wolves closing in, their dark shapes barely visible in the night. "Now, motherfucker!" Pippin lobbed the stun grenade toward the approaching enemy. A loud bang echoed through the valley, followed by disoriented growls and shouts from the orcs. He then quickly lit and tossed the flare, casting a bright, harsh light across the scene, illuminating the startled orcs and wolves. Frodo, Sam, and Merry fired from their positions, their bullets finding their marks with precision. The orcs, blinded and confused by the sudden light, were easy targets. The hobbits' relentless training paid off as they worked in unison, cutting down the enemy with surprising efficiency. Within minutes, the fighting was over. The orcs and wolves lay dead, scattered across the ground. Goggins and the remaining company watched, mightily impressed as the hobbits emerged from their positions, breathless but victorious. "This is why you do not interfere in the affairs of a mire," Gandalf snarled at Boromir, clear disdain upon his face. Boromir, still processing the swift and brutal efficiency of the hobbits, could only nod in agreement. "Would that we had these hobbits and their like for the defense of Gondor," he muttered. Goggins approached the hobbits, a rare smile of approval on his face. "Well done, little bitches. You've proven yourselves tonight. Remember this feeling. It's just the beginning. When this is all over, you four are gone be some savage motherfuckers." The Fellowship resumed their rest around the fire, the hobbits feeling a new sense of pride, while the others felt a newfound respect for their capabilities and fearlessness. Goggins' unorthodox methods had once again shown their worth, hardening the company for the challenges that lay ahead. The fire crackled softly as they exchanged stories. "Mr. Goggins, sir, I have a question," said Frodo. "Say that shit with your chest," Little Man encouraged Goggins. "Where do you come from?" "My people come from Africa. They came to America as slaves a long time ago. My dad was a pimp. He used to beat on me and my mama." "That explains a lot," whispered Sam, but his words unfortunately carried in the night to Goggins, who gave a small smirk. "Evidently, your motherfucking ass ain't learned its lesson, but I'ma let you off this one time cause of you and your boy's show on the battlefield today." "Thank you, Mr. Goggins," Sir responded Sam, bowing his head in respect and humility. "Now, I'ma keep watch tonight, so y'all bitches can go to sleep. I ain't finished my training today." The following morning, the company woke, packed up camp and made their way, led by Gandalf, into the woods of Lothlorien. "Shut the fuck up, Gimli. You're breathing too fucking loud, man," snarled Goggins. "Yes, my lord." Just then there was a rustling of leaves behind them. "Contact right," shouted Goggins, readying his weapon. "Defense formation." It may have gone ill for both parties had the elves been unaware of the Fellowships and Gandalf been unfamiliar with the folk of Lothlorien. "Peace. We are all elf friends," shouted Gandalf, his voice magically magnified. "We received word of your coming, Gandalf, but do not recognize some of your company, dressed as they are in such outlandish fashion and accompanied by a dwarf. I cannot give leave and allow such to cross the borders into our lands without word from the lady. This is the company that departed from Rivendell on an urgent errand that must not be delayed or hindered. The lady is aware of each of our company, I assure you, Haldir," responded Gandalf, recognizing the elf. Haldir considered for a moment before responding. "I understand. I will let all enter by exception, but the dwarf must go blindfold. No dwarf has passed these borders for hundreds of years, and I would not provide opportunity for one to spy out our lands." Gandalf did not appear pleased by the offer. "I must discuss your terms with my company," he responded before turning back and motioning for Goggins and Aragorn to join him. He relayed to them the elf's words. "What's wrong with Gimli?" asked Goggins, concerned. "He lacked clearance or some shit." "It is clear the elves do not easily let go of a grudge," Aragorn nodded. "They won't budge unless the Lady of the Woods gives her leave. Indeed, We are left with but 3 choices. Persuade Gimli to walk blindfold while we go free. The dwarf will not take kindly to this treatment, conceded Aragorn. His short ass will follow orders, assured Goggins. But Aragorn appeared unconvinced. What are our other options? Other options are equally unappealing. We can either leave Gimli behind, undoubtedly he will find his way back to his own people in the mountains, or we can start a battle against the elves for the dignity of our friend. We should ask Gimli. The choice should ultimately be his, advised Aragorn. And so they called Gimli over and filled him in on the situation. Gimli, they ain't want your short ass spying out their land. These hillbilly tree-hugging motherfuckers are racist as hell. We're gonna need you to take one for the team, buddy. Unhappy though he was at being singled out in such a dishonorable manner, Gimli followed his master's instructions. He received a rare fist bump from Goggins, a sign of recognition and respect for his sacrifice. Goggins called forth Legolas and unceremoniously ripped from his shoulder a silver brooch, much to the elf's dissatisfaction. He fashioned this into a medal of sorts and presented it to Gimli. "Lieutenant Gimli, step forward," he shouted. The dwarf followed instruction, and the medal was pinned to the front of his armor. Goggins then raised a hand to his brow in military salute. "What is he doing?" asked the badly beaten Sam, peering at the theatrics through heavily bruised and puffy eyes. "He is conducting a warrior ritual in the fashion of his kind, honoring Gimli for his service and valor," responded Aragorn in reverence, taking a knee. "Thank you, master," responded Gimli. "You can get medals?" asked Pippin in an excited whisper. "I'm getting one too." "Haldir," the elf stepped forward. "If all is settled as agreed, then let us proceed." As agreed, Gimli was blindfolded and led ahead by the elves, while the others walked at their leisure, appreciating the beauty of Lothlorien. All were in awe at the beauty around them, except Goggins. "This ain't nothing, man. Y'all ain't never seen Yellowstone in the summer. Now that shit looks spectacular." Haldir paused, taken aback. "You are unimpressed by what your eyes see?" asked Haldir. The elf looked shook. "Man, all I see is some grass and these big-ass trees. I ain't no monkey. If this was America, they'd have chopped these motherfuckers down for furniture." At this, Aragorn turned and whispered to Gandalf, "Only one who has dwelt in the blessed realm and the undying lands of the Valor would stand as such, unimpressed by the pale imitations of Middle-earth." Gandalf grunted in agreement. "Back home, we got 380-foot redwoods," continued Goggins. "What is a redwood?" asked Haldir curiously. "Trees. Your trees stand taller than ours. Indeed, they are almost as tall as Orthanc." "Yeah, they tall as hell. Y'all motherfuckers need to watch Avatar. Tell me more of your land as we walk, friend. What do you want to know? Tell me of your people." "I'm from America. The streets are full of crackheads, hookers, and homeless." "What are these crackheads and hookers of which you speak? Are they similar to my kind?" "There is difference among the elves. There are the elves of Mirkwood, the tree elves of Lothlorien, and the elves of Rivendell. As such, you people are of different kinds and places." "I suppose they are," responded Goggins thoughtfully. "So the crackheads spend their time smoking crack, and the hookers, they be hoeing for cash and Gucci, sort of like a job. Hold on, let me show you." Goggins reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. Turning it on, he began showing the elf pictures. "I ain't got signal here, man, but I got some pictures I can show you." The more Goggins scrolled, the wider the elf's eyes became. "This bitch's name is Shaniqua. This fat bitch is Kelsey, and this one's Brittany. She got that hawk too." "You know what I mean," said Goggins with a smirk, fist bumping the bewildered Haldir. "My friend, I would dearly like to visit your lands upon a day," said Haldir with an eager smile. "It appears to me, Lothlorien is beautiful, but there is other beauty to be found out there in other places and people." "I know that fucking look," laughed Goggins loudly. "You need you a nasty bitch. Don't worry, I'ma hook you up, but only if you take the blindfold off my boy Gimli." Haldir gulped nervously, then looked around quickly at the other elves before nodding. "It will be done, Lord." "You have my gratitude, Master," said Gimli, bowing deeply after his blindfold was removed. "It ain't nothing, man." The remaining journey passed by in pleasant conversation between the elves and the company. "We're almost there," said Haldir at around midday. "The Lord and Lady are eager to meet you all." The world turned a radiant golden color as they approached the inner city of Lothlorien. "One of y'all bitches need to mow this motherfucking lawn," commented an unimpressed Goggins. "The grass grows freely here in the golden wood, long and fragrant. It is soft to the touch. Here, your animal will delight in grazing," responded Haldir, nodding towards Bill the pony, who indeed looked happy chewing mouthfuls of the thick grass as they walked. "We are here," announced Haldir, leading them around an enormous thick tree towards a truly impressive sight. "Now that's one big motherfucking tree," said Goggins as they approached. The company was led up a winding set of stairs wrapped around the tree as thick as a house. At the top they found a large pavilion, at the back of which were 2 ornately carved wooden seats, surrounded by branches of golden leaves and bark. There sat the Lord and Lady of the Wood, tall and slender, although young by appearance. Goggins could tell they were much older than they looked. "Damn, she looks good," thought Goggins, looking the elf lady up and down. But as he locked eyes with her, a voice spoke in his head. "Welcome," it said in an ethereal tone. "What the fuck?" muttered Goggins in surprise. He looked more closely at the lady and realized she was speaking to him telepathically. "This bitch is on some MK Ultra type mind control shit. I gotta fight it. What you want, bitch?" He responded in thought, and the voice responded. "I but seek to offer you an alternative path. Step aside, abandon the quest and receive all that your heart desires," she said. "Tell me, warrior, what is it your heart desires?" Goggins smirked. "Man, I would do things to you your man ain't never done in 1,000 years, he thought. "What is it your heart desires to do to me?" "My heart? Nothing. I got other plans for you. 50 Shades of Lothlorien, he thought before letting his imagination run wild. Such was the vividness of his imagination. The lady faltered upon her seat, breaking eye contact for a moment. "He is too powerful," she muttered, clutching her chest. Hearing this, her lord husband turned to her in concern. "What is it, Galadriel? Do you once more wrestle in thought with the Dark Lord?" "It is nothing," she dismissed before resuming her gaze upon Goggins. "Never have I heard or seen such flattery. Tell me more, warrior," she said, once again communicating telepathically. "I'll scratch that 1,000-year-old itch you got," responded Goggins before resuming his explicit thoughts. "We clapping cheeks tonight." At this, a visible shudder ran through the lady, at which her lord husband once again turned to her in concern. "My apologies. We must postpone our welcome of you. The Lady Galadriel is greatly troubled and is in need of rest." With that, the company was led away to an enormous tent, made ready for them with beds. It seemed to me she was testing us, pretending to offer that which was not in her power to give, in exchange for setting aside the quest. "Needless to say, I declined," said a restless-looking Boromir who had been pacing the tent for the last 20 minutes. "Man, what I want is definitely in her power to give," laughed Goggins. At this, Gimli stood up dramatically. "Alas, my eyes have gazed upon that which was fairest and pure beyond the imagination of us mortals." "That bitch ain't as pure as you think, brother," said Goggins thoughtfully. "She's a pure hoe. I'm telling you, Gimli, you gotta shoot your shot." Maybe she prefers them short and thick. I can tell you right now that Lord ain't touching no sides. Would that she had a beard. They heard Gimli trailing off, muttering to himself as one by one the company laid down on the comfy beds and fell asleep. Goggins woke sometime later to find it was still dark outside. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed movement at the mouth of the tent. He turned to look closer and saw Frodo and Sam sneaking out carefully so as not to rouse the others. These little bitches are up to some fuckery again, thought Goggins, slowly getting up to follow. As he followed, he was noticed and stopped by an elven guard who questioned where he was going. Man, I'm just trying to find a toilet. That elven piss you people drink just ran right through me, he replied, brushing the guard off to continue his pursuit. Goggins followed the hobbits' whispers until he turned into a large clearing and found them standing before the Lady of the Wood. Frodo, Sam, he shouted, scaring the hobbits. What the fuck you little bitches doing out of bed? But before they could respond, he cut them off. Get the fuck back to bed. Yes, Mr. Goggins, sir, they both repeated before scurrying back in fear. Once the two hobbits had left, Goggins' attention turned back to the elven lady. Damn, you look fine, girl, he began. You flatter me, my lord Goggins, responded Galadriel, looking eager but somewhat unsure of herself, as though mustering up the courage before a reckless move. I would continue our earlier discussion, if you are of a mind, she went on. This bitch is coming on to me, thought Goggins. We done talking, woman. Let's see what you've got. The following morning, the company were roused by an elf at the mouth of the tent. What was all that screaming last night? Asked Pippin, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. While you slept, the lady wrestled in thought with the Dark Lord. We found her early this morning, collapsed upon the ground, replied the elf. She was wrestling with something all right, muttered Goggins under his breath. She is resting now, while the Lord tends to her. Even in her younger days as an elf maiden, she has not felt such domination. It is a sign of darker times and the rise of Mordor. It will be days before she can once again walk these fair fields. The elf wept as he spoke. Curse the Dark Lord. The fair Lady Galadriel will remain heavy upon thought until she returns to full wellness, spluttered a teary-eyed Gimli. His beard was drenched. Goggins placed a consoling hand upon the dwarf's shoulder. She took a real pounding last night, brother, but I know she can't wait to go again. Such is the lady's spirit, nodded the elf in agreement to Goggins' words. After that, they spent many days in Lothlorien, at ease before their quest continued again. The screams of the lady were heard almost every night until the Fellowship's departure. The Fellowship spent many nights debating which direction the quest should take after Lothlorien. Should they make directly for Mordor or instead go first to Gondor in aid of Boromir's people? What do you counsel, my lord Goggins? Asked Strider one night, turning to Goggins after the others had once again failed to come to a consensus. The motherfucking mission is our motherfucking mission, snapped Goggins. I say we send those little bitches with Boromir. He nodded towards the hobbits, while the rest of us complete our objective to destroy the ring. I agree, nodded Aragorn and Gandalf in unison, much to the dismay of the hobbits. But I would counsel we hold off on deciding until we must. The Lord and Lady have furnished our company with boats, which will carry us far down the river, giving us more time to make a final choice. What is more, the Lady takes favor upon you, David. She has agreed to send a unit of elves to strengthen the battalion you trained in Rivendell. They will be leaving shortly for Rohan. I did what I had to do, said Goggins, giving Gimli a sly wink. Loosened her up for you, buddy. Good, responded Gandalf. If all is in order, we will depart tomorrow down the Great River. The following morning, as the Fellowship prepared for departure on the banks of the river, they were met by the Lord and Lady, who had prepared for each of them a gift. When it came to Goggins' turn, The lady stepped forward and pulled a small, bright object from her robes. "That a stun grenade?" asked Goggins. "This is the phial of Galadriel, within which is caught starlight. I gift it to you in the hope that it is a light for you when all other lights go out, and as a reminder of the Lady of the Golden Wood." "Would it not be better bestowed upon the ring-bearer?" asked her lord husband doubtfully. "It would not," replied the lady bluntly. Lastly, she turned to Gimli and asked the dwarf what gift he would have of her. The simple dwarf asked for a single golden hair from her head. "Why you gotta be such a fucking simp, man?" Goggins hissed in the dwarf's ear as Galadriel unbraided a lock of her hair. "Ask to smash, man. Stop being a lil bitch." But before Gimli could alter his request, his window of opportunity closed as he received the hair. The lady turned her attention back to Goggins. "As my final gift to you, I would offer you the chance to look into my mirror, for what you see may be of benefit to you." Goggins accepted and followed the lady alone back to the clearing in which they had met on his first night in Lothlorien. They did not know if it was a trick of the wind, but those waiting for their return by the riverbank thought they could faintly hear the screams of the lady. "You screamed? Is everything okay?" asked the lord in concern as his lady wife returned with Goggins 20 minutes later. "It was the mirror," responded Goggins quickly. "Things out of control, man, almost sucked out my soul." "I am spent," said the lady, looking dazed. She took a deep breath and steadied herself before seeing off her guests. "Farewell, my thoughts go with thee."
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed the journey and are eager for more wild fan fiction, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your fellow fans, and subscribe for more episodes. And if you're as enchanted by the idea of Middle-earth meeting Hogwarts as we are, make sure to check out our series exploring this magical crossover. Your support brings these worlds to life. Until next time, keep the fantasy alive.